everyone. I was just finished watching a video by Roxy Fur where she had challenged herself she gets a card magazine, and she was challenging herself to make some cards from her card magazine and to maybe do one a month or a couple a week. And so I responded to her and I said, you know what, Roxy, I'm going to take you up on your challenge, and then maybe we can swap a few cards. So that inspired me to go and make a couple of cards that I've been really wanting to make. And one of them was, I picked up this, these free little flyer things that you get at Michael's. They're hanging on the wall. And I saw this one, and it was a card because it had all the Tim Holtz stamps and stuff on there. And on this one, they said to use alcohol inks and all kinds of different things. And I didn't want to use the alcohol inks, so I did my version using distress ink. So this is what mine turned out like. So if you can see that. So I just did a whole bunch of distress inks for the background there on the white. And then I used black archival ink for my stamping. And then I spritzed to get the water spots. I spritzed it with water. And the only thing I used the alcohol inks were on these washers and the compass arrow. I used that, kind of a purple and a brown one, and I forget what other color. So, and then I just tied it with twine. I love this one. And it really sort of showed me, inspired me to use the whole stamp set of some of those Tim Holtz ones. So once I got these four created, I thought I'm going to take another one of their stamp sets. So I'm going to take the one with the couture stuff in it. So it's got the ruler and the spool top and the dress form and the sentiment, and it also has a little stitch line in it, but I'm not going to use that in this card. And my daughter, it's her birthday tomorrow, and it seems like I just, made a birthday card for her, and that was a whole year ago. I can't believe it. But anyway, she's my only daughter, so I know I haven't made that many birthday cards for daughters. But anyway, I am rambling. So I thought I'd make a birthday card using that same kind of format that was on the flyer, but just with completely different stamps. So I started off with gray, really nice gray, Stampin' Up! Gray, basic card, 5.5 by 4.25. And then I cut a yellow matte, which is 1/4 of an inch smaller on either side. So it's 5.25 by 4. And then I cut a white matte, which is another 1/4 inch even smaller. So it's 5 by 3.75. So I'm going to work on this first. And then for the sentiment, I'll just give you the dimensions of everything first. For the sentiment, I cut this small yellow piece is 1 3/4 by, this one's 2 inches by 3 1/4. And then for the insert, it is 1 3/4 by 3. So that's all the elements I need for my card, plus a little bit of ribbon. Love this gray and yellow polka dotted ribbon I picked up at Michael's. And I'm going to do my stamping with going gray instead of distress inks, but I'm going to use the black soot distress ink to kind of edge around, and then some various distress inks to create that really sort of mottled marble looking background. So first thing to start the background, got my 2 pieces here, so that's for the sentiment and that's for the card front. I'm going to start by simply just putting some of this. First one I'm using is mustard seed. So I'm just going to blend it across. I'm using just these foam pieces. I actually got these from Roxy. She sent them to me, maybe a year and a half ago. One big piece of it. I love it. And you just cut it to fit. So using that on there. And excuse my hands are a mess because I already made some of these already. Then I'm going to go with this is scattered straw distress ink. So, oops, I should have showed you the color. It's a little bit more subtle yellow, I guess, more like straw. So I'm just going to almost color the whole background cover up a lot of the white. And don't worry if the card sort of creases up like it just did. That just adds more interest and dimension to the card. So we'll just add that in. Then the next one I'm going to use, because my daughter loves turquoise and because I want to add just a little pop of color in there, I use a little bit of broken china. Not too much, just lightly. To make those nice swirling motions. So it just gives it a little hint of turquoise in there. So I'm not sure if you can see that. See? It's really pretty. And then just a little bit of hint of that here. And then the last one I'm going to use is the black soot. And it'll kind of go around the edges of the card and then just kind of a light gray wash over top. So just come in from the edges and then go lighter in the center. Almost looks like a storm cloud a bit. I didn't want this card to be too dark looking, which is why I added the yellow and the turquoise to give it a little hint of color. There. So now that's easy peasy, our background is done. Next thing I'm going to do, instead of spritzing water on this time, I am using my homemade glimmer mist I call Ghetto Mist. So the color in here was a re-inker from Stampin' Up, and I honestly cannot remember which one it was, but it's the bright yellow one. And then I just added some those luminous powders, and then some water, and a drop of hairspray as a fixative. So I'm just going to spray some of that on here and let it dry. If I can get the sprayer to work. Oh well. There we go. Of course, when you're doing a video, it won't work. You know what? I'm just going to dribble it on instead. It does the same effect exactly. Just drop it on like that. And I'll figure out the sprayer later. You just want some water droplets on the page. Because for some reason, when Distress ink comes in contact with water or wetness, it just gives this coolest effect on the background. I just love it. And this one with the little bits of, you know, the iridescence in it just makes it look so cool. So I will come back as soon as these dry. So while I was off camera, I managed to get the sprayer working better on my little glimmer mists. So you can see there and there. If you can see them, I hope. I can't tell from the camera if it's picking up the little glimmer dots, but they're there. So the next thing I'm going to do is take black soot Distress ink and the foam applicator. Just going to go around all the mats just to pop the edges a bit. So just go again from the outside in. Just kind of give it a little bit of a black edge on them, but more, not dark black, just kind of like a soot, I guess. Exactly what it's called. So I'll do that around the mats, and I'm also going to do it around the card, and also those stamped, not the stamped images, but you know, the marbly background if they are dry, which I think they will be by the time I get all of these pieces done. I love playing around with the stamp sets and getting inspiration both from Roxy and then thinking, you know, why don't I just try that card, that free template from Michaels. And I thought that was so cool because it really did inspire me to actually work with these as complete sets instead of just using one or two things from the stamp sets. We'll just go around these. I've got, looks like there's dirt under my nails, but it's just this ink. So, and again, I don't want this card to be too dark, so So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spool top on the stamps, and I'm also using the Tim Holtz, these stamp, cling mount stamp things. I don't know what you call them, but I love them because they have little lines on them, and it really helps to keep everything really straight. So in this one, I'm just taking the Black Soot Distress ink, and I'm just going to place a few random spool. Actually, you know what? Let me just see. Yeah, I'll use this. I was going to use the gray. Remember I said that, but I've already started with this, so this will be fine. I just didn't want it too dark, but that's nice. There. Some people don't realize you can stamp with the Distress ink, and you can also emboss, which is really cool. Okay, so I just wanted to make some random little spools all over the page. Next thing I'm going to do is take the ruler stamp, place it on the back of this, get it nice and straight. Oops, line it up really good. There. And then I am going to stamp this just about the top third of the page. Just line it up nice. And stamp the ruler just up there. Just a little background stamp. There we go. Next I'm going to stamp the dress form. So I'll just line that up here and run the Distress ink over top of it, because it is big. And then I'm just going to stamp that over to the left side, over here. I don't have enough room on this card front to get the base of the dress form holder, so I'm just going to go a little bit below there. 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 So see, it's just a faint, I want that grayish look. So now I'm going to take my ATG gun and mount this on top of that yellow. And we've got that right on there like so. There we go. Then we're going to mount it on top of our card front like that. That's why I love making mats that are 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit bigger or smaller. I guess bigger because they're the mats, because it really helps when you're placing your card. You just kind of eyeball it on the top and all the way around, and then you know you've got it on there really good. So far there is our card front. Hope this light isn't too bright. There, that might be a little better. Then the next thing I'm going to do is take this piece here and our sentiment that says, experience is not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. And I'm going to put that in the center using these amazing grid lines, which is really, really cool. There. And mount it exactly the same way as I did the card on the card front. I think I need a new craft mat. This thing is getting so grunged up, but I love them. There. So I'm going to take some foam tape, or you can use foam dimensionals or anything that's going to give you some dimension, and just pop that up right there on the card front. And I mentioned to you this in another video that I get my foam tape like this in big rolls from the dollar store, and it's usually in the hardware section where they do carpet stuff, because I think that's what this tape is for. So peel the back in, and I'm lining this side up, not with the yellow side, but with the gray side. So it's just a little bit over to the side of it. There. And the last thing I'm going to do, I found these really cool spools, and I'm not even sure, oh here they are. I got them at my local scrapbook store, and they're called Vintage Vogue spool buttons. And there were 12 in here. So I saw this black one, and I thought, oh, perfecto. So I'm going to take this and a little piece of gray and yellow ribbon, and then I'm just going to kind of cut a little angle point just so it's easier to poke it into the ribbon. And poke it in here. Oops. And then just tie a little knot in the ribbon. And this ribbon, I think, was one of those really cool dollar bins they have at Michael's. Sometimes the ribbons in there are really, really cute if you really look around and dig around in the bin. And this one was one in there, and I really liked it. I like the combination of gray and yellow. I'm not usually a person that likes gray, but I love it with gray and yellow. I think it's so pretty. So I'm just going to trim this edge a little bit. And then this side too. And this just finishes off my card really cutely. I'm just going to take my glue gun and glue this little spool right kind of about where the spool is on the card front. And there, I've finished my cute card. And although it's the exact same template and pattern as the other card, they don't look anything alike, which is the fun part of doing a card challenge. So here's my two cards that I made using the exact same card map, as you would say. So there you go. And so Roxy, I've made some to swap with you of both sets. There you go. So you guys tune in to roxyfur's channel where she's talking about her card swap, or her card challenge. Sorry, she's not having a card swap. She's just challenging us to start making some of those cards and using those card books we have or patterns. I'll put the link to the down bar in her original video that I got inspired from, and I'm inspiring you to do the same. So thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.